Hello, my name is Andrew Emanuele, and I'm a planner with the Federal Highway Administration here in Minnesota. Today I'm going to give you a short overview of the Metropolitan Council's 2020 TMA Certification Review. Conducted every 4 years, this review is required by the United States Department of Transportation and certifies the Metropolitan Council's transportation planning process. At the end of this short presentation, we'll also provide you an opportunity to comment. Your thoughts will be incorporated into a final report produced by the Federal Highway Administration and the Federal Transit Administration next spring. So what is a TMA certification? As I mentioned, it's to federally certify the Met Council's planning process and is conducted every 4 years. It is also a federal requirement that this is done. TMA certifications focus on TMAs, which are transportation management areas or urbanized areas that are over 200,000 in population. In Minnesota, this is only the Met Council. The two main federal agencies involved in this review are the Federal Highway Administration, or FHWA, and the Federal Transit Administration, or FTA. In order to properly conduct the review, we did receive support from MnDOT, the Met Council, and other regional planning partners in regards to documents we were seeking or staff members we needed to interview to get to the bottom of a question. It's important to note here that this review is not project specific. We were not looking at anything related to a specific transit line or a project. We were looking at the entirety of the planning process. So what's your role in all this? Well, we're looking for opinions of the Met Council's transportation planning process from both the public and stakeholders. Open, meaningful public involvement is critical to successful transportation planning, so that's why we're providing a 45-day comment window that you can take at the end of this survey. It will have a short survey with open-ended comments, and the comments will be summarized and inform the final report that should be coming out in the spring of next year. So before we continue, let's talk about transportation planning. What is transportation planning? Simply defined, it identifies the transportation needs, strategies, and priorities within the region. It's the nexus, or the point where transportation needs meet societal goals. So we decide how to move forward from there for our transportation needs. And for the purposes of this review, it does include all surface transportation, so cars, trucks, transit, bicycle, and pedestrian as well. So why is the transportation planning process so important? Well, it decides how a substantial share of federal transportation funding is spent regionally. And as we all know, funding is limited. So the Met Council needs to prioritize the regional needs and determine the best and most economical solution for the region. The process lays the framework for the future of the transportation system here in the Twin Cities. Here I need to pause and talk about Metropolitan Planning Organizations, or MPOs. The Metropolitan Council is the designated MPO for the Twin Cities region. It guides the transportation planning process, which does include development of planning products such as corridor studies or system-level studies of the entire region. Urbanized areas of over 50,000 are required to have an MPO. So we have 8 MPOs in this state, but the Metropolitan Council is the only one over 200,000, making it the only TMA, or Transportation Management Area, that is subject to a federal review every 4 years, such as this one. Doing these reviews ensures the process of transportation planning is cooperative, comprehensive, and continuing, or as we call it on the federal level, 3C. A key stakeholder in all of this is MnDOT, or the Minnesota Department of Transportation. They conduct statewide level planning and project development that needs to mesh seamlessly with what the Met Council is doing on a regional level. In addition, they prepare and maintain a long-range transportation plan for the entire state that needs to be in sync with the transportation plan that the Met Council produces for their region. In addition, MnDOT develops the Statewide Transportation Improvement Program, or STIP, that contains all federally funded or regionally significant transportation projects within the state. The STIP incorporates the Met Council's project as well, inserted into the STIP without change, as the Met Council plays an integral role in deciding what projects will be funded within their region. Now we're going to take a look at key documents developed by an MPO. The Met Council, serving as the federally designated MPO for the Twin Cities region, is required to develop these as part of their planning process. I apologize in advance for all the acronyms, but we'll go through each one, the UPWP, the MTP, and the TIP, and their role in the planning process in the next couple slides. First, we have the Unified Planning Work Program, or UPWP. This lists the Met Council's planning activities, their planning products, parties responsible for the work, costs associated with the work, and timelines for completion. It is updated annually and receives an eligibility determination from the Federal Highway Administration and Federal Transit Administration. Next, we have the Metropolitan Transportation Plan, or MTP. As the federally designated MPO for the Twin Cities region, the Met Council produced the Transportation Policy Plan 2040, which serves as their MTP. It has a 20-year planning horizon with the goal of developing and growing the Twin Cities region toward economic success and vibrancy for decades to come. It gives us investment direction to achieve this and the strategies and policies to get us there. It is a multimodal document including car, bike, pedestrian, freight, transit, and even an aviation section. This document is developed every 5 years and is a federal requirement. Finally, we have the Transportation Improvement Program, or TIP. Produced annually, the Met Council identifies projects by year, phase, cost, and responsible party in this document. It has a 4-year time horizon and must be consistent with the MTP, or their long-range plan. It also must be fiscally constrained, meaning they cannot put money into it that they don't have to spend. Finally, when the TIP is finished developing, it enters into MnDOT's statewide STIP, unchanged. Now we're going to pause and look at areas we'll be exploring for the Met Council's TMA Certification Review. We'll be looking at how they handle congestion within the region, some of their bicycle and pedestrian planning, public engagement as it relates to planning, transportation planning specifically, how they're prioritizing their planning funds, of which they have a limited amount, and a number of other issues. If you're interested in any of these particular topics, you can look them up when the final report comes out, and they should have a detailed discussion of what we discovered and how the Met Council is doing in relation to each of those topics. And speaking of a final report, that will be issued in early 2021, and it will summarize all the discussions from our review, from our interviews, from all the documents we looked at. In the end, the Met Council's transportation planning process is going to be one of the following. Either it's going to be fully certified and they're good to go. It's going to be certified subject to them fixing some corrective actions, which are areas that they're in violation of federal law. Those are usually given a timeline for correction. And they could be not certified. If there's enough corrective actions with their planning process, we could not certify them, which would leave their federal funding in jeopardy. So, this all comes back to you. How can your input help the Met Council improve their transportation planning process? Well, if you look next to this presentation on the Met Council's website, there should be a link to a short survey that includes space for open-ended comments. Starting December 8th, the survey will be available for 45 days and eventually summarized and inform our final federal report. So what are we looking for? We're looking for your comments on the entirety of the Met Council's transportation planning process. Have you had an opportunity to participate? What does the Met Council do well? What could they improve? Just any thoughts you have and want to give to us to help us think about this report when we're writing it. That does conclude this presentation. Again, if you want to explore any topics in depth, please read the final report. If you have any questions about any of this, you can email me, Andrew Emanuele, at andrewemanuele@dot.gov. Or if you have transit-related questions, feel free to email Bill Wheeler with the Federal Transit Administration at williamwheeler@dot.gov.